Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the January 22nd Town Council regular meeting, Wednesday, 7 p.m. in the green room. We'll begin with a pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Make sure I turned it off.
Okay, item number 2, visitors. Are there any visitors who would like to speak? Regina? Okay.
Hi, my name is Regina Robbins Wolke. I'm a third-generation resident of the town of Clinton. And I'd like to express first disappointment. I found out about the gazebo on Danby's Way being demolished at 3:06 this afternoon. I was never notified by the town, and granted, the town owns it, but hasn't maintained it since 1978. In 1978, my father, Chet Robbins, and my uncle, Bill Robbins, donated the Well House gazebo from the Clinton Manor Inn, formerly known as Rosemead Estate, built in 1890. Danby's accepted it and decided to move it behind the former Henry Carter Hull Library on now Danby's Way. Many children, of course, ran under its roof. The well box was placed next to the Castron property, so that's the house right near the gazebo. And let's see, the history of it, when you look at it, and I have pictures. In fact, I gave an oil painting of the inn with the gazebo to the Historical Society. It was in front of the inn. The gazebo as you see it now, and the well house, the octagonal box. And the owners of that house have made it into a little well with the roof. Every day we go out, there was a pulley in the roof. The bucket was lowered down. No one ever drank anything but well water at the Clinton Manor Inn. No one drank from the tap. It was all from the well, every single day. David Wallen painted the gazebo around 2002 as an Eagle Scout project. The town never painted or maintained it in all this time. In 2010, Kevin Martindale, another Eagle Scout, restored rotting fascia and again painted it. The town never did that. I noticed disrepair after that and approached Christine Goupel, who was then the town select woman, and she didn't realize that the town owned it. I then continued with Chris Anaskovich, and then Christy Pontillo and I had several meetings with Carl Kildoff. Glenn Gunderson went out and gave an appraisal to restore it. And at that time, it was $30,000 to $40,000. It didn't have to be that much if the town had maintained it when they received it as a gift. I had townspeople willing to donate, fundraisers. If it had been maintained or moved, it could have been saved. What a great shame. 1890 history. There are residents that have lived here with fond memories of the manor, as it was called. From Chamber of Commerce meetings every Tuesday night to centenary dinners, the Robbins families gave much to the town very quietly. In fact, the steel etching upstairs in, I believe it's the selectman's office now, or in the foyer, was given to the town by my father and uncle. Personally, as part of the Robbins family, I had my wedding pictures taken there. My daughter had hers taken there when it was moved to Library Lane. It's very sad that Rosemead Estate, Peggy Lupone's grandfather, in fact, worked at Rosemead Estate. There was a sulky track where McDonald's is now. That was part of Rosemead Estate when my grandparents bought it back in 1929. So it was nearly 50 years that they had the inn. It was also host residents, to all the actors and actresses that played here in the straw circuit at Town Hall. Edward Horton, Christopher Plummer, the Zsa and Ava Gabor sisters. I thought that's another part of history I could talk about. I'm just very, very sad that once it's gone, it's gone. New people in Clinton do not, in my opinion, have a lot of respect for the history of this town that made it the way it is now. We have wonderful history here, and it's another small piece, small little gazebo, but once it's gone, that history's gone. I'm just very sad that there have been multiple opportunities for the town to maintain, and they chose not to. I can understand when the library moved, it was no longer on town property. But up until then, it was town property, and it was never maintained. And that's kind of a slap in the face to people that wanted to preserve it. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Regina, and we'll be discussing this on the agenda. Other visitors, Eric?
Members of the Town Council, wonderful to see you. Having served on this esteemed board at one time, I hold it a great honor to be back to see you again. But I speak to you today on behalf of the Morgan School. I'm a 25-year veteran over there, and I want to tell you about this exchange program we have coming up this summer. Grant me a minute to read this to you. I'm thrilled to invite you to participate in the American Exchange Project Week taking place in Clinton July 2nd through July 9th, 2025. This exciting program brings together students from across the United States to foster connections, cultural understanding, and a sense of unity among young Americans. During this special week, students and their host families will engage in a variety of activities showcasing the rich history, culture, and community spirit of Clinton, speaking about our history. From local events to group discussions, the program offers a unique opportunity to highlight the best of what our town has to offer while building lifetime relationships. The American Exchange Project gives graduating high school seniors a 2-week adventure like no other. 1, they get an all-expense-paid trip to a community very different from their own. 2, the chance to welcome students from across the nation to our own hometown for this special experience. The American Exchange Project was founded in response to the growing issue of polarization, which can deprive young people of chances to connect with each other. As a result, research indicates students are increasingly anxious about their future as well as their country, with 59% of Americans lacking trust in each other to make political decisions. Limited opportunities for students to interact constructively with those from different backgrounds only exacerbates the issue and hinders their development as citizens. This domestic exchange program is a solution built on what is best about America: welcoming strangers, hometown pride, and a reverence for the character-building journey to break students out of the bubbles they've grown up in. AEP trips are fully funded through generous contributions from organizations and supporters across the United States who share our vision of a more connected country. What I ask of you, and there's more details on the handout in a possible itinerary I gave to Mayor, I don't know if the members have that. This is what it would look like. July 2nd, the students from across the country come here. We celebrate the town. We take them on different types of trips. And then and for that week, I'd like you to participate, if you could, on maybe a couple of those affairs. Second, we're looking for host families. We have 10 students from across the country signed up. We don't know who they are quite yet. Signed up to come here in early July. What better time to showcase Clinton during the first week in July? So I have 2 things, as I've said. Number 1, we welcome you to join in the activities in that first week in July. And second, we would welcome you or anyone in this room to host a student, graduating senior from another community in this country. To us, and for me personally, with a polarization in this country. I've based basically in my entire teaching career on bringing people together. This is the type of program that I think could do wonders for a lot of young people. I learned about this in Jonathan Haidt's recent book, The Anxious Generation, where he was seeking out ways in which to ward off this increasing polarization with our folks, and I think this would be an excellent opportunity. So I welcome. Please, there's a QR code on that handout I gave you. Please look at it. Consider hosting a family or a student, and then participating. I'll have more information as we get closer, but I'd like them to get to know some members of the town council. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Eric. Thanks, sir.
Are there any other visitors who'd like to speak? No? Okay. We will go on to the approval of minutes. January 8th, 2025. Is there a motion? Second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining?
Abstain.
All right, thank you very much. Motion carries. On to number 4, appointments, and we begin with Jeremiah Dunn, who is looking to be appointed to the Police Commission for a term until November 2025.
Good evening.
Evening, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. My name is Jeremiah Dunn. I'm a retired police officer from the town of Clinton. I served on the force here for 27 years. I have a total of over 40 years in law enforcement throughout the state of Connecticut in various different departments, but the bulk of my career was here in Clinton. I was approached recently to see if I was interested to fill a recent vacancy on the Board of Police Commission, and I've given a lot to this community. I've been on the sidelines for a couple of years, and I felt this was the time to get back into the game, and so I respectfully hope that you vote in my behalf and appoint me to the term that's set to expire, just at the end of this year. You happy to answer any questions?
I personally would like to begin by thanking you for your letter. It was passionate and informative, and I learned a lot, and I could sense your dedication and commitment. And I'm not intimately familiar with each commission, and I try to learn as much as I can about it. And I spoke with Don Morelli, the man whose position you would fill, and asked him, what is important? And he explained to me it's of utmost importance that they understand the job of a policeman. It's of utmost importance they understand about our town. And also, finally, how this particular police force operates. Clearly, you checked all those boxes, but Don Morelli was also a particularly, he was strong on oversight. He was very concerned and about the budget particularly, I remember. And my question for you, and my only question for you, is whether you would be able, given the 27 years, to be that objective.
Absolutely. Yeah, I should have added, I neglected to mention that I also served 4 years as both an appointed and elected member of the Board of Selectmen prior to the town council format. So I do have considerable experience in the town of Clinton with local government, preparing budgets, overseeing budgets. So I don't anticipate that being an issue whatsoever, Carrie.
All right, excellent, thank you. Any other questions?
Excuse me, I believe in your letter you said you served in Clinton until around 2020?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I imagine that there are still people serving on the force with whom you served in your time
That is
in the
correct.
department. Do you have any thoughts about how you might address any perceived bias? Because in front of that board comes promotion, comes discipline, things of that nature, and having worked in the department for so long with those people, do you have any thoughts about how you would address that perceived bias?
I've always, even as a police officer, as a supervisor within the agency, I had to discipline people. I was responsible for individuals who, were ultimately terminated, because of their actions. I've always been a man of high integrity. I have never been challenged in my decisions, and I believe I can make utmost fair in the decision which is right for the town and for the community.
Do you see any situations where you'd have to recuse yourself from a vote?
Oh, if there was, I would. I did that repeatedly on the Board of Selectmen when I was a member. If I saw that there was a bias, I wouldn't even just abstain, I would recuse myself and leave the room. So yes, I would have no problem at all recusing myself from the situation.
Thank you.
Questions? Anyone else? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you
Abstaining?
very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Board, Jerry.
Number 2, Brian Pellegrini, R for Planning and Zoning alternate seat until November 2027. Hello, how are you? Good evening, welcome.
I was here a few months ago on the Board of Appeals, and then this opening came up. I figured it was the next progression, next step forward to be on planning and zoning, so I accepted it.
Okay. So we didn't receive your resume or a letter, and I didn't realize why it was that you were particularly interested in planning and zoning.
It's like the next step of, being on the Board of Appeals, and then I want to be more active in the town, more active in planning, more active in its future. I think this would be the best way to serve it that way.
Okay. Any other questions?
That was back in September, right? I believe since then there's been 4 meetings, and you've missed 2 of those. Do you think that's going to be an issue with the planning and zoning meetings?
No, not at all. I was in the process of retiring, starting a new job, so now I'm all settled in, so I'm all set.
Right. Thank you. I didn't have any of that context in the background.
Any other questions? Chris? Questions? Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries. Congratulations. Matthew Beauvais for Sustainability Committee for a term until 6/30/2026. Hey, Matthew, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
So I'm 24, and I've lived in this town my whole life, and I want to become involved with the town, and I appreciate that sustainability seems to be concerned with a whole lot of topics that concern the town, so I want to become involved. That's why I'm here today.
Excellent. Thank you. It's good to see young people getting involved. It's good to see young people wanting to stay. That's great. Any questions for Matthew? No? No? All right. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay. The next, Mark Palmieri. And Mark, hello, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Yourself?
Excellent. Mark is here for 2 appointments. The first one we're going to consider is Economic Development, the Commission, for a term until 6/30/2026. And Mark, from your application, I saw that you had never served on towns, boards or commissions.
Nope.
All right.
No, I'm kind of a late bloomer to this sort of thing. I've lived in town since, well, as a child, since '66. And one thing I've learned is not having kids. You typically don't get involved in the town. You don't meet the people in the town unless you have kids who are involved in other kids, going to school events, football games. So I've always never really been that involved. And then since I joined the RTC, I've grown to want to be more involved and learn more about the town and be involved.
And the Economic Development Commission, that has a particular interest?
Yeah, I have sort of well, I know because I have another commission I'm looking at. I'm sort of a business-oriented kind of person. I've seen the development of the town over the years, how it's changed, how things have come and gone. I mean, I remember going to the Clinton Theater, the drive-in, and how that's not with us anymore. The businesses that have come and gone. And I have an interest in seeing how that develops.
Excellent. Any other questions from anybody? No? Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, and wait right there, because you're also interested in the beautification committee.
Yeah, crazy, huh?
Well, I think it's great because I saw that you are a landscaper.
Yeah, well, I do a lot of my own landscaping.
Well, they'll be thrilled about that, if that should happen, because they're always looking for people who work. They work rather regularly, planting, and not this time of year, but they'll be happy. They'd be happy, yeah. So you know what beautification is up to these days?
I do not.
Okay, they're the ones who are putting the pots on the streets. They're planting and taking care of the pollinator on Indian River. They have plans to do daffodil. Actually, they've planted them already up and down the street. They do a lot of work, and they'd be very happy for a helper.
I've seen some of the work and I appreciate it. So I would enjoy having some input, being available to help.
Okay, does anyone have any questions? No? All right, so is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries. Congratulations twice.
Thank you very much.
David Carroll. Hey, David.
Hello, how we doing?
From the Fair Rent Commission for a term until 6/30/2028.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were here for the water pollution.
Yes, ma'am.
And I noticed that you have excellent attendance.
Yes, I do. Of course I
That is
do.
appreciated.
You don't join something unless you're committed.
And that particular group is being well-served for that, because that has been a problem in the past.
Well, we're not going to do that anymore. We're not dragging our feet. We're going to move forward with everything.
Okay, so why the fair rent?
Well, because I see the way the economy's going, and I see a lot of people that are struggling. I want to make sure everybody gets a fair shake at what they're living. That's the only reason. And I don't think anybody would disagree that both sides would like to have a fair hearing, especially if you're a homeowner or a tenant. You want to be heard fairly and not judged by anything. You want to be a non-biased person who's going to judge you non-biasedly.
Okay. I would not disagree. Any questions for, no?
Are there any conflicts you might have with a fair rent commission? Are you a landlord in town, anything of that nature? Okay.
No, I'm a homeowner and a town person here. Nope, absolutely none whatsoever.
Got it? All right, is there a motion? Second. Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks, David.
thank you.
Nice day.
Now we have Mary Saunders for the Human Services Advisory Board for a term until 6/30/2027. Welcome.
Hi there, thank you.
It's so nice to see you applying for human services. You'll fill a seat that was well-served and she's missed, so thank you for your interest. What is your interest in?
Well, I bring experience as a nurse for over 30 years. I've worked in various settings. My most favorite, I think, is the home care community, so I know people well in the community to serve in various populations, children, older, veterans, underserved, uninsured. Also in ministry for 20 years with my husband, who passed away in 2023, sadly, but saw various opportunities where we served in that capacity as well. So I believe I bring that experience, understanding the needs of the community behind the scenes, and how it affects the way people live and helping them succeed.
Excellent. And may I just say, I've heard marvelous things about your husband from Joe and Carol, and I am very sorry about that.
Thank you.
And I hope you and your daughter are well. Any other questions? No? No? Mary for Human Services? A motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Congratulations, and thank you very much. Richard Way for the Local Veterans Advisory Committee for a term until 6/30/2025.
Richard is sick. He could not be here. He didn't feel that he wanted to come get everybody sick. So he could not be here tonight because of an illness.
All right, what do we do in that case? We wait until next time? Yes, that's our protocol? Okay. Would you let Richard know that we'll expect him at the next meeting? Okay, great. Excellent. Thank you for letting us know. Joe Alves. Hey, Joe. Joe Alves is here seeking an appointment to the Fair Rent Commission for a term until 6/30/2026.
That's right.
And you told us why it is that you wanted to do that?
Well, I was a renter myself for many years, but I feel people that are renters are probably some of the most vulnerable people in our community. And to get a notice that their rent has been increased, or they have to move, or something like that, I think they need something like the commission to represent them in certain cases.
Excellent. All right. Does anyone have any question for Joe?
Same question I asked David. Are you conflicted in any way? Are you a local landlord who's going to be making decisions?
No, never have been a landlord. I've never even been a homeowner.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. So motion.
So moved.
Second. Second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Congratulations, motion carries. Sweet. Barbara Corcoran? Hello, Barbara.
I hate speaking in front of people.
You don't have to speak very long. It's okay, it's all right. So Barbara is here for a seat on the Human Rights Committee for a term until July 1st, 2027. And you gave us your application, and there were a lot of details, and you explained why it is that you're interested in such in all the different ways. Is there anything you'd like to add in it shortly?
No, I feel strongly that, in order for a town to sort of be successful, all of its residents have to be seen and respected and have the same opportunities. And if I can help on that journey, that's what I hope to bring to the community.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions for Barbara? All right, thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, Barbara. Will all of you at your convenience go and see our town clerk and be sworn in before you attend the first meeting? And if you don't know when that is or where that is, Sharon will help you with that too. Thank you very much, all of you, for serving. Okay. Number 5, a discussion and policy on the filling of vacancies on elected boards and commissions.
Yes.
And I believe you are going to run that.
Yes. So there recently has been some question regarding the policy for how an elected seat is filled when it becomes vacant. And we have a policy that wasn't very clear. So I have worked with our town attorneys to review the policy, read the charter, state statute, and we've made some changes to this. Following also past practice, we've had 18 spots since 2020, I believe, that have been filled the same way, but it wasn't very clear in this policy. So I have a copy of the policy to hand out to the council members. I've highlighted the sections in yellow that the attorneys have clarified. We've given some definitions of what an appointed board and commission is and what an elected office is, and how the town has in the past, and the recommendation to proceed with filling the positions in this manner. So I'm going to pass this out for everyone to read and review. You all, obviously, I didn't meet with the attorneys until about 3 o'clock today, so I was unable to send this out earlier for your review. So I don't know if this is something that you want to take action on this evening. But again, when you see just the yellow sections have been the part that's been edited. And again, it was just clarified based on some feedback and questions that have come from individuals. So we can have a discussion as a council regarding the need for this and proceed from there. So So I've done the legwork on this, and it's up to the council to discuss.
Do you want us to read over this? And what are we looking to do? To insert
So this was a
language?
policy, well, so this policy was adopted by the town council in March in 2020. So since then, you've, like I said, have filled 18 positions. Until recently, there's been some question about the process, so we got a set of eyes on it. Again, our attorneys looked at it. This is how they've interpreted it. This is how they feel would clarify. I know the goal of the town council and our elected boards and commissions really are to have policies and procedures, clarity, and this is a step in that direction. So we can read it if we'd like. I don't know if you'd like to do so.
Sure,
Okay.
unless you would.
No, why don't you?
Okay.
Why don't you?
All right, so this is a language that would be added.
So the yellow is the language that was added. There were some sections that she just clarified, did some grammatical edits. I think it's just lawyers looking at things. They tweak a little bit. But the sections in yellow, which are the two primary, it defines again what a board and commission in the process, board and commission elected offices. And in the second, Section 3, it talks about how a individual is presented to the town council when there is a vacant seat that is an elected seat. So those are the two specific areas.
Okay, so we're looking to add to the 2020 draft, is that correct?
We're looking to edit and add, yes.
Edit and add. Everybody can see that, obviously, on the first page, definitions. The following words and phrases are defined herein as indicated below. Other words and phrases within the policy are defined by legal authority or shall operate by their natural meaning. Appointive boards and commissions means boards and commissions within the town of Clinton whereby membership initially commences by way of appointment, regardless of how membership vacancies are to be filled by the charter or other governing law. Elected offices means offices, including boards and commissions, within the town of Clinton, whereby membership initially commences by way of election, regardless of how membership vacancies are prescribed to be filled by the charter or other governing law. That is the first part to be added. And the second part to be added would be under 3, policy regarding elected offices. What you have now is town council shall fill by appointment a vacancy in any and all elective town offices, including the Board of Education, within 30 days from filling of the vacancy. 2, the appointment shall be for the balance of the unexpired portion of the term. Are you still going to have
Those two will
a
be there.
Democrat for a Democrat and a Republican?
Well, so,
for- okay.
so
okay.
3 will explain that.
So I got it. Okay, so 3 would be the addition.
Yes.
Where the party vacating an office was elected as a member of a political party, such vacancy shall be filled by appointment of a member of the same political party. If that is the case, if such vacancy must be filled by the same political party, the town committee for the applicable political party pertaining to the vacancy shall advance the name of one candidate for said vacancy to the town council for appointment, if appropriate. Within the time limitations prescribed by law, the town council shall vote on and appoint said individual if sufficient votes are achieved.
So
That would
is
be the addition.
correct. That was the section that needed the clarification.
Okay.
It's up to the council.
So my only question is, where it says, if that is the case, like after where the party vacating an office was elected as a member of the political party, such vacancy shall be filled by appointment of a member of the same political party, if that is the case. And then the next, like,
They were trying to give an example that clarifies a situation where,
it'll just be by the same political party.
right,
Okay.
yes.
It's basically what we've done.
It's basically
Forever.
what we've done, and we're looking to just,
Yeah, make it
again,
policy.
make a policy,
Why did it need clarification?
because there was some question about the
I don't
process.
know why it shouldn't be. It's black and white in the charter before, and I don't understand why we have to have all this extra mumbo jumbo. Second of all, can we just do that by us passing this here, or do we need charter revision?
No. So this is what you can do. You've already done this once. This is just a little more clear. You would vote and approve this policy, and this is what you follow. This goes along with the charter. It's not as clear as some people would have liked. So it just helps clarify.
It was clear to me for 35 years.
It's
People want to add a lot of this stuff.
It only hadn't been in writing, that's all. And now we put it in
Now it's in
writing.
writing.
Now it's
But it
crystal
doesn't
clear.
change the past practice.
It doesn't
The 18 times that we've done this in the past,
We've done it
following
right.
the same procedure, the way it's written in the policy as presented.
Yeah, it just
Exactly.
codifies it in a policy.
Correct. And you're defining elected and appointed in the beginning under definitions. Not that there was a question, but there's two clear definitions of what's an appointed position, what's an elected position. And then section 3 clarifies the process in which somebody comes forward for an elected position.
Correct.
That's it.
That's it?
Yes. Yes.
All in writing? Okay. So do you want us to,
So if you're
make a
comfortable,
motion?
if you're making a motion, then we can do that, yes.
okay. I'd like to make a motion to add this to the 2020 draft.
Probably
Is there a
should ask for
motion?
motion, not make it yourself.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second? Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries.
Okay, thank you.
All right, sure. Now we will go to the item number 7, the Commerce Street gazebo.
Okay.
And we've heard from Regina Wilkie.
May I show a picture quickly?
Sure.
All the old timers know. That is the well house. That's where the job was.
I'll show.
So, I recently received a formal letter from Attorney Vinning, who represents Commerce Street LLC. As many may know, Manuel Ramirez is the sole member of this entity and the property owner. In this letter, which I provided the council a copy of, we are being officially notified that the gazebo has become a liability to the property owner and a request for demolition. In response to this notice, I instructed our building inspector to assess the condition of the structure. Upon inspection, the building official has deemed the gazebo unsafe, and it has been tagged accordingly. To ensure thorough due diligence, I also conducted research into the history of the gazebo, emails, project cost, and town council minutes, which again, I've provided all of you copies of. I found as recently as in 2023, the town council voted not to allocate funds for its rebuilding. The structure has unfortunately continued to deteriorate since 2023. Given this information, the official tagging of the structure as unsafe, and the liability concerns raised by Attorney Vinning, it is clear that the town faces significant risks if the gazebo remains in place. Based on this information and the current condition of the gazebo, it is my recommendation that it be taken down due to the unsafe structure. But this is, again, for the council to review. There is a estimate in here for repairs for about, I think it was about $30,000, $35,000 to $40,000 in 2022. And then there is some emails about, the Public Works fixing it and the cost. And that is the status of it. It is unsafe, obviously. Like I said, our building inspector went out and tagged it, and a significant snowstorm or someone on it, it can give way, and the town is liable, as is the property owner who has formally put us on notice. Will the council discuss?
Do we have any sense of how quickly they want to take it down?
Well, it should get taken down as soon as possible due to the fact that it has been tagged as unsafe. If we get a significant snow event, weather event, if children play on it and ignore it, there is injury, and because we've been noticed.
So what are you looking for?
My recommendation is to take it down based on the history of it and the cost and the minutes that the council in the past has not wanted to allocate the funds to restore it for almost $40,000. My interest is always the best interest of Clinton for liability exposure, and that would be my recommendation. And I'm not an engineer or structural, person, but our building inspector has done a thorough review. Went out the same day that I received the letter, or the next morning, I believe.
Is there a possibility of saving pieces of that in order to give it to either the Historical Society or back to the family, whether it's the gingerbread panels or...
That was not assessed. I would have to speak to our Public Works Department to see if they feel that there's a portion of it that they could take down and salvage. I don't think that is the case from what I have heard in asking people with the history. I also think that there is not any assurance that if they do start to take it down, that it will stay in one piece. So is promise something a piece of it.
Our Public Works will be taking it down?
Our Public Works would take it down.
Okay.
And what if, so it was stated that there was people that would donate money to fixing it. If it was fixed up, would Mr. Ramirez be willing to keep it on his property?
I have not responded to this yet because he cites in his letter, if you read it, that the Historic Society has declined taking an interest in it. So I don't want to speak for Mr. Ramirez, but I would think that if it was repaired, there would be an expectation of continued maintenance, that it doesn't go to disrepair again. Quite frankly, I don't know if it is it might be beyond repair at this point. I don't know the condition of it, but it is unsafe. And for something to be unsafe, it most likely has rotted wood, and prices have definitely gone up since 2022 when that quote was for about $40,000.
I mean, I can speak, obviously, I talked to Regina about it multiple times, and I mean, at the time that, when I spoke to her, the most recent time was the time that the council, and there was an ask for $45,000 for ARPA funding in order to repair it. So, obviously, we all have that. I mean, I was unaware that it was going to get demolished. Quite honestly, until I just got this, I didn't know that the council opted not to fund it. I thought there was $45,000 that we put in to fix it. That was my assumption. So I wasn't at the meeting, obviously, town council, but I don't know. I mean, it seems like now all of a sudden we want to try to come up with ideas of how we can maybe help or fix or do or whatever we did, but we had it in our hands to do it before. And I mean, yes, it hasn't been maintained by the town. If we did something now, would he accept it and allow it to happen? Town would have to, whatever the cost would be to maintain it going forward, to make sure it was maintained. I mean, but we don't know what that amount of money would be now. I mean, we're at a whole different, we're at a different realm of what's going on here now. We'd have to get somebody else out there to look at it again to find out. So the $45,000, I'm assuming, isn't going to be something that's going to, I'm assuming it would be a lot more than $45,000 at this point.
And we don't have ARPA funds, obviously, so it would have to come out of.
Right.
And I am certain that now that a lawyer is involved, that there would be some indemnification from the individual now who his property is on.
I remember my thoughts a couple of years ago when we were thinking about the EARP money and all. And I'd always wondered, and I'd always said that if we gave them that money to repair it, I'd like to see it moved off that property anyway. I would like to have seen it placed on town property someplace, and not on some private guy on a back street. It is a historical thing, and possibly, I don't know how long we have to answer to this gentleman, but if there's a way that Eagle Scouts or somewhere along the line, people could be known to the public that this is going to be knocked down, and maybe we could raise money to refurbish it and then also move it to an adequate place on our town property somewhere. I'm sure there's a green or something that we own that this little gazebo would look just nice on. We built a lot of new ones since then.
My only concern with that thought is I don't know if it's even salvageable. I don't know the condition of the wood. It may have to be completely rebuilt and like a replica built of it. I don't know the status of it. But also the time frame. If someone gets injured, we're responsible for it. So the time it would take for Boy Scouts or groups to get together or funds to be raised would take quite some time. We're looking at least $45,000 to $50,000. That's a lot of money to be raised. And we have we're in a, we've been officially on notice here, so.
Well, can we, maybe, possibly, I mean, the town, obviously, we have to worry about the liability, right? Immediately, in terms of, is there a quick way to potentially block off any sort of usage to people, like fencing around it, temporary fencing to buy us a little bit of time, potentially tabling it 2 weeks to our next meeting. In the meantime, in that 2 weeks, do a full evaluation. Can it be moved? Is there a way that it can be quickly moved, or is it in that much of disrepair where if they start to mess with it, move it, it's going to fall apart? Because I think that's going to also push the price tag, from 40 plus, and is it more cost effective to salvage pieces and parts of it and, restore it on town property and look at the potential investment? I get the liability. But can we potentially temporary fence it off? So, if snow comes and it falls down, well, I get it. But I get keeping people and, life safety, keeping people outside of that. Could we temporarily do something for 2 weeks to make a good evaluation and, good faith effort to take a look at the options to buy us a little bit of time and look at that?
So I can speak to Public Works to see what kind of structure we can put around it. I will also have to reach out to the attorneys because it is his property, and if he would allow fencing to go around it. And then trying to find someone, we would need someone to come out and give an estimate because our Public Works really is not sufficient to assess whether it could be rebuilt. They could do an initial look, but for us to find someone, I don't know if we can get someone out in 2 weeks to do that. And then you would have to come up with, the council would have to come up with funds to rebuild it.
Well, and I think, I don't think we need to rush and make a decision tonight. And the answer might be, no, we can't do this. The guy has to get knocked down. That's just the way it is. But we don't have to decide that tonight. And we give at least 2 weeks. And 2 weeks isn't that long, and we also ask for people to identify fundraising opportunities so that we don't have to pay for it. We had the opportunity to have ARPA funds, whatever reason we reallocated those funds. So it would be hard pressed for me to vote for taking money out of our budget to pay for it. But if there's people that would fundraise and at least raise a lot of the money, then I'd be willing to listen to that.
I would just then, if we do go that route, I think there has to be some very clear timeframes as far as when the monies need to be raised by, because it's a lot of money, we know, and again, it's someone's private property. We're liable for this. So if it's not raised in a certain amount of time, we can't expect this individual to keep this on his property in the condition it's in and hope no one gets hurt, even if we fence it off. I mean. So I don't,
He could also refuse.
Right, he could.
Because that was there when he got there, but if it's gone, it's gone. So it would have to be taken elsewhere. I think that we could, at least in the 2 weeks,
Yep.
determine whether anything was salvageable.
sure.
I mean, the property owner should be contacted first and foremost.
Yes, of
You're
course.
allowed to put a
Yeah.
fence around it, number one. If it's
Right.
yes, great. If it's no, it's no.
Right, right.
But if he says yes, and then we can put a fence around it, then take the next step to say, hey, listen, what it's going to cost to repair it or fix it or whatever. So at least we buy some time.
Okay,
Find out
so
if
I will-
anything's worthwhile.
I will reach out to the attorneys tomorrow. Again, obviously, I did not want to speak to them until I knew the council's thoughts. Okay.
We'll talk to you afterwards. We'll talk to you afterwards, okay. All right, so financial report, item number 8, Bob.
Yes, hi, good evening. You have the financial report. The first one's typical, it's revenue expenditure statements for the fiscal year that we're in up to January 17th, 2025. Revenues are going as expected. The current tax levies are following trend from the prior years. Supplemental motor vehicle taxes, we'll have to wait. The major collection is in January, so by the next report, I'll know how that's looking. As we've discussed in the past, interest income is doing very well. For 6 months, we're over budget by $51,000, so I expect a $700,000 surplus at fiscal year end. On the expenditure side, compared to the last month's report, I've added that we'll have probably payroll savings from open positions, about $150,000. And probably some savings in the benefits account, because in that budget detail, we did have a contingency, and I don't think we need to use that contingency, so we're probably looking at $100,000 there. And obviously, there are going to be accounts in plus or minus as we go through the year. We're 7 months into the year, but for the most part, that the expenditure side of the budget looks pretty good. On the investments, as in the last several months, interest rates are slipping slowly. Last month, the stiff rate was 4.75%. This month, it's 4.66%. And currently, it's 4.43%. So interest rates are going down. On the general fund balance, really no change from the last month, except that I did incorporate those budget savings in the analysis, $250,000 for expenditures and the savings on the interest income. But for the most part, the fund balance analysis has remained stable. Contingency account is still $36,000. I don't see any line items out there where we're going to be using contingency. I'm going to knock on wood because we're still in winter. We do have those line items relating to winter maintenance, but so far, so good. On page 15, you have the ARPA report. So we're up to a point now that we have a balance of $300,000. Is that me? I swore I turned that volume off. Sorry. And it's junk mail, right? We have a ARPA report. The total balance available is $300,000. We're talking about 6 items. They've been committed. So we expect by the end of the ARPA grant period, which is December 31st, 2026, everything will be completely spent. And the very last report I've added, which we haven't seen for a while, is the CIP Fund 60 expenditure summary. By department, it shows those line items that we budgeted for capital projects, both small and large. As we go through the budget process presently, towards the end, we'll be reviewing with departments their current CIP requests, and at the same time, we'll be reviewing these line items to ascertain where they are in the project process. There are some accounts from 2023, but some of them are still active. If you want to go through on the at the top of the first page, we have $250,000 available for the revaluation that's starting this month. That's a reevaluation that the assessor's making, and that'll be as of October 1st, 2025. So that process is starting, and that money will be used. In technology, there are some items left that still need to be spent.
Could I ask that question, Bob?
Yes, sure.
See now, when one is left over from FY '22,
Yes.
$17,669. That means we carried over from '22 to '23, from '23 to '24.
Correct.
When are we gonna have these people spend this money?
Right, and so the next report on this will be a status on every one of these. I did, when I first got here, question this. It relates to the police department software, and I've been told that it's still going to be used. Why it was delayed, I don't know, but I think this is tonight for informational purposes, and we'll, as we go through the CIP process with these departments, and we review the old accounts, we'll find out what's going on there. If they're not going to be used, they're going to be closed, and the money will fall back into the fund balance for this fund.
Are there any other type of CIP allocations from past years that are not listed here? Like, is there anything left over from 21 or 20?
Well, over the years, they are closed. If it's asked us.
Some are closed and some are rolled over. Do we have
Right.
any rollovers still on the books just beside these?
No.
These are the only rollovers?
This is everything.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Just one question?
Yeah, sure.
So we have on your capital improvement projects.
Yes.
Turf field is listed on here for 365 with Park and Rec. But we use the ARPA funding for turf field replacement.
Right, so if that's left over, that's going to be closed and it will fall into fund balance to be used for other projects, probably in this next budget process. So we won't need to transfer anything from the general fund budget if we have funds available here for some, smaller projects.
Because the numbers don't match, that's why I asked.
No, I think 284 was used.
284, 145.
80's left.
Yeah,
Right.
80's left, correct.
But on your ARPA expenditure summary report.
Oh, well, this is, funds were appropriated for turf field replacement in the CIP.
In addition to the.
And funds were appropriated, yeah, so this is Fund 60, just the CIP, it's not ARPA.
It's funded by two
We had to
sources.
add 300,000 to it, to the 300 from
Still
our.
80 remaining in there, which could potentially go back.
Right, gotcha.
Town
Okay.
Right.
They've committed the 80,
So this
but they
is-
just haven't
right.
spent it.
So the 365.
It's all committed, all the ARPA is committed, it's just not spent down yet. We have till 2026 to spend it, but it had to be committed by the end of December. Oh, I get what you're saying. This is CIP, I'm sorry.
We did sell bonds last week, $2,150,000 worth of bonds. They replaced a ban that we had for $2 million. It was a competitive bid. There was 7 bidders, and the true interest cost of the bond was 3.67%. There are coupons on those bonds ranging from 4% to 5% to make them marketable, and because of those coupon rates, we receive a premium of $77,246. That premium, for the most part, we use to pay the bond issuance costs. Anything left over, I would recommend, it's going to be a small amount, but we can apply it to next year's budget to the interest and reduce debt service. By the way, as a result of this debt service that we did last week, our budget line item for next year is still going to be flat. So I've already calculated that, so we're okay as far as debt service. Relating to the bond issuance, we did get you have it, the S&P ratings report as a result. No surprises. Pretty much, if you looked at the last one, it was pretty much the same. They mentioned our reserves. They were quite happy with them. They did say on a downside, if those reserves were to decline, it would affect us. One thing that came out of this with a possible upgrade is they said if we get some more official policies. So we do have a fund balance policy. They're asking for a debt service policy that can be signed. We can write up a debt service. We may have an informal one, but an official one that will be posted. They mentioned maybe a 10-year budget forecast look ahead, which I've done before. And it's really a what if, because there's not one forecast. What if state revenues decrease? What is our budget going to look at? What if Grand List remains flat? So we inform that we'll certainly start initiating that process. So between now and the end of the fiscal year, we'll start doing those things. And they said they'll certainly remember it on the next rating and see what our progress is.
Questions?
What's the rating cycle? How often do we get rated by S&P?
Every time we issue debt.
Other questions? No? All right, so, yep, thank you. 9, Town Manager's Report.
Okay. Well, budget season's underway, so we've been very busy meeting with department heads and getting all their budget requests. So Bob and I have been spending a lot of time together. I wanted to remind the council we are working to have a workshop, a date to be determined in early spring. Your request to speak and get some more information to the WPCC. I did send you all out an email requesting questions to send to them to start compiling answers. If you can have them to me by the 29th, that would be great. Just give me some time to give them, I'm compiling one big list so they know what to work on. We hired Adali Rodriguez. You had approved the outreach prevention coordinator position, which had been we funded through the SAMHSA grant. Adali has her bachelor's of science in public health. She worked for the Wallingford Public School Systems and is bilingual, which is great. She started yesterday. I am working with our 10 neighboring municipalities. MURA, which is the Materials Innovation and Recycling Authority, is officially dissolving on June 30th, 2025. So that is where in Essex Transfer Station, that is where we dispose of all of our waste. So with this dissolving of this entity, there is a potential for a significant increase in our tipping fees and our tonnage. So we are working with the other municipalities to see if we can either do a group RFP to bring all of our tonnage, which is value, to a private hauler to get a decent tipping fee. We have been having multiple meetings. I spoke with Norm Needleman on Thursday regarding this. Quite frankly, everyone's scrambling at this point. There has been talk about this for a while, but it officially happened. So we had a meeting with Director Ramiro last week, and the municipalities now are all working together to see what we can figure out. So I will keep you up to date on the progress, but right now, for the budget, we are, Todd, I did tell him what I thought at the time when he started his budget about a month ago. But since then, I've heard the tonnage may go up to 204 a ton. So we are even raising that a little bit more to be safe. But again, if we can all get together and come up with a group RFP, we can potentially save some money. So we're at the beginning stages of that. I will keep you up to date on that as it progresses. The POCD, I'm pleading with everyone to please get out there and, spread the word. We've posted on social media, we've posted it on the website. I talked about it today on my recording for the Community Valley television channel. We only have about 80 people who responded to it. It is very important that our residents do this because it does create the roadmap for shaping our future here in Clinton. So we need the feedback so we know what we want Clinton to look like and the needs of the town. So when you're out there talking to people, please encourage them to do that. I know the library has a QR code on little cards and things like that to make it easy to access it. The STEEP grant opened last week, which is wonderful. I met with Abby. We have looked at some of the projects that are pretty much shovel-ready. So we're trying to figure out exactly which project is best. Right now, it's looking like potentially a Butler building for Public Works. It is something that they are going to be requesting in capital. We are doing an initial research right now to get some quotes. Abby and Todd will be here on the 5th, I think is our meeting on that Wednesday morning, to tell you more about the project and to hopefully have your support that we can apply for the STEEP grant. The grant is due on February 20th, so it's a quick turnaround. So we'd be asking for approximately about $800,000. So that will be coming down the pike. Last town council meeting, we requested a transfer to address the damage done to the copy room in the town manager's office from the leak. We officially got notice, I believe yesterday, that the insurance company is denied the claim. So we have the funds to fix it and the repairs are underway, but unfortunately we will not be getting reimbursed for the damage caused by the water leak. Next, when our first February meeting, the department heads that will be coming to give an update will be the town planner and our ZEO. And just a reminder that next week on the 30th at 6 o'clock, we will be having a workshop with our town attorney going over Robert's rules, council's rules, and touching on other subjects that have been come up lately. And it'll be a nice little forum for everyone to ask their questions about our processes and policies and best practice. And other than that, it's been very busy.
What's the number on the leak?
I think was what did we put? 16,000? No, it was more than that. I think it was I think it was like up to almost 30. It was multifaceted. There was issues with a pipe that went down in the wall, and then there was roof pitching, and it was just, I think I have a copy of the letter. It was decided from their engineer that they sent out 35, that it had to do with the flashing. So it is something that is not covered. Yes. But we have gone quite some time with not having use of the space and an awful musty smell. So I'm glad we're at least making progress and going to start renovating it and getting it back to the way it's supposed to be. And that is all I have for you this evening.
Thank you. Questions?
Any update on the social worker position for Human Services?
Working with the union.
I do have a question.
Certainly.
Wait a second. This comes under council discussion.
Okay. Okay, I'll be ready.
All right. The chairman's report, I only have the interest that and the hope I keep having for all the news that's coming out of the legislature, and that is with educational funding. And I hope that maybe Chris can fill us in on stuff later.
Yes.
On the ECS, they're saying that...
Governor's budget doesn't come out till February.
Yeah.
So.
And that's money that we could use for the school budget. They're talking about giving towns and cities more, and I'm hoping that that happens. Okay, and that's really all I have. Council discussion, Dennis?
Yeah, under the discussion, speaking of the schools and stuff, has anybody inquired lately to the state school auditing department about our Morgan refund?
Huh?
We have money coming back here, and the school now has been built since 2017, It's 8 years. Usually I hear it's within 6 to 7 years.
They're coming.
They're going to be here in February.
They're doing a full audit. They've been preparing for it. Bob, do you want to share a little bit about what you've been doing with that?
Well, you're just gathering up the old invoices for them. So we know when they're coming. It's in the beginning of February, and we'll be ready.
Will you
Very
be
good.
addressing the refund that Dennis is referring to?
Right, so after that audit, plus or minus any adjustments, then we'll get the rest of the money that's due to us.
Good question. Good answer.
I understand it's in pretty good shape. I mean, the school spent a lot of time supposedly working on it and getting all the paperwork ready and getting it up to Hartford. We got everything up there on time, and then the story was that the department that was auditing us was being audited themselves by another agency. So that's really slowed things down. But I think as far as Clinton is concerned, I think we have our eggs pretty well in order and have been for about 5 years.
Thank you. Anything else? Council discussion? No? Okay. Liaison reports? Anyone?
Planning and zoning had some technical difficulties and had to punt all of their public hearings to the next meeting in February.
Okay.
Nothing to report.
Okay. Chris?
We haven't had a meeting, no Park and Rec meetings.
Anybody?
Police Commission, their budget is running along. They're getting better now that they're full speed, all back to capacity. They'll try to make up the best they can on the deficit in the overtime. They think they can make a good dent in that by the end of the year. Two things I would like to bring up. It was a very touching meeting to open the Police Commission meeting the other night when an entire family from Clinton showed up to read a letter of thank you to our first responders. The chief brought in the 3 policemen and most of the responders that were involved in this situation. A young man had fell over, I'll just give it roughly, slumped over at the wheel of his car. I believe it was in a gas station or some public place, and one of our people here in town immediately noticed there was something wrong because the car was still running.
Oh.
Instead of just trying to figure out if the guy was incapacitated or, drunk or something, he immediately recognized that it was a heart attack. The hospital personnel at Yale New Haven said only because of the quick response of the 3 police officers and the other responders, this young man is standing today in our community, as well as without any brain damage, because of the quick reaction of our first responders. And the chief wanted to add to that, it's really no surprise because Clinton's police department is in the top 5 every year of being the quickest responders to any type of emergency responses or situations. So I think that speaks well for the first responders in this town, fire, EMS, and our police departments. So I thought I'd bring that up.
Did you say he was a young man?
42 years old.
Wow. Yeah.
Young to you.
Young to me by half. I coached a young man at Morgan. He was my center. He's a well-known name. I don't know if the family wants me to let the name out, so I won't. But he's a very well-known name in town. And it was very heartwarming to see them come in. I mean, there must have been, I don't know, 35, 40 people from that family crowded into that police room the other night with first responders and the police. So these are the type of things that I think people have to understand what goes on in our town.
Yeah.
We argue and we complain a lot of things, but one thing we do have is our emergency services, our public works, and all our other services are here to help the citizens of this town and keep them safe and give them whatever benefits we can.
Thank you, Dennis. Thanks. Anyone else? No? All right, so, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Traditions are important.
Thank you.